Hey there, Contractor Cab here with Overseas Contractor Academy, and I am coming to you from Medellín, Colombia. So first off, let me apologize. Right now, I'm telling you guys, I looked for anywhere to film but here, because this is a very echoey room. There's a window right here off to the side. It's giving me light, which is great, but it also is single pane, so we're gonna hear every motorcycle that goes by, every car that honks the horn, all that stuff, and Colombians love their horns. So this is far less than ideal. The lighting really sucks in here, but look man, it's better than not making content at all, right, for the next month. So let's just roll the bumper video and get into the evaluation process of when you get your downtime for being a contractor, what things you should be looking at when deciding where to go. Okay, so as a contractor, what's going to happen is you're going to do, hopefully you get the course, you get the knowledge you need, you get the tools to use, and you get an overseas job. So you do that, you go overseas, you're working, you're making good money, tax-free, expense-free, the money starts to pile up. Well, what's going to happen very quickly is you'll get out of debt, and then you'll start accumulating money. And then the question really quickly becomes, what do I do with this accumulated money? And as other gurus in the past have said, that's a really good quality problem to have. Quite honestly, it is way better to have that problem, like, gee, I've got this money, what should I do with it? Let me figure it out, versus I don't have any money and I've got to figure out how I'm going to get by. So, when this money does accumulate, you've got a couple choices. You can buy a house, you can go to school, you can put money away for your kids' college education, whatever it is that is your big goal. But if you're a single person, or you're a little older and your kids are self-sufficient and you've bought your house already, basically, if you're in my situation, you start looking for places to go. In my opinion, I follow Andrew over at Nomad Capitalist, and I totally agree and believe in what he says as far as go where you're treated best, and money should go where it's treated best. So I'm not gonna hang out in the US, I'm not gonna endure US prices. Sorry, just took a second to open the shades a little more because the sun came out from behind some clouds, so hopefully the lighting is a little bit better in here. Not that you want extra lighting to see this kind of face, I got a perfect face for radio, but yeah, moving on. The point is, you're gonna have some money build up and you've got your choice. You can just hang out in the US wherever you were before you started becoming an overseas contractor, and you're gonna be around the same people you were around before then. But now you've gone international and had all these experiences. They haven't. You will have changed. They may not have. And so it's up to you. If you still fit, in that environment, great. I didn't personally. So I started looking for other international places to go where it wasn't as expensive. The culture was not as divisive, because right now, if you pay attention to the media especially, it seems like the culture in the US is so friggin' toxic, man. Like everything is either racism or homophobia or you're a Hitler and I'm offended, or whatever it is. I just don't care for any of it. It's all garbage, because to me, when I walk outside, if I see a neighbor or I see someone at the gym, if they're gay, if they're black, if they're whatever the hell they are, you know what happens? Hey, what's up? Oh, hey man, what's up? That's what happens in reality, okay? But we're starting to see more and more incidents where people are driven by this garbage they see in the media, and they're ignoring the reality around them in favor of being spoon-fed this crap by people whose job it is. They get paid by the more shocking, stupid, silly stuff that they can convince you of and make you be fearful, so that they have your attention, because basically that's their market, is getting your attention. So they're gonna say the shocking, awful, terrible crap that you have to know about. And then it just makes you feel terrible about being there, about your fellow people around you, people that are different from you. Like, people that are different from you should be the most interesting shit around, man. Like, that's who you learn. If everyone was the same, it'd be the most boring thing ever. But I digress. I just don't like being around all that. Like, you know how much crap I hear about, like, equity and, like, you know, BLM and all this stuff? You know how much of that I hear overseas? None. So, I don't even hear about, like, Trump-Biden crap over here. No one talks about it because they're just living their life like normal people. So that's the attraction here, is get overseas, your money's going further, you're treated better, and you get away from all the US crap. And so that's kind of, when I take a break, that's what I'm looking to do, is like, you know, get those things down. But there are some other sort of qualifying things that if you go overseas and you come out and you've got some money and you kind of want to spend some time away, taking the breaks like I do, there's some things to kind of look and analyze before you decide where to go. And so that's what we're going to do in this video, is just kind of break down a few of those things. So one of the things that, you know, at first, like I mentioned, is, you know, the cost. Obviously, it doesn't make any sense to go somewhere more expensive than the US, because you're not effectively saving any money. Your money's not going any further, it's going shorter, so that's kind of stupid. But going places where you know your money's going to go much further and buy a lot more, that's kind of top of the food chain priority kind of thing. But the second thing and third thing, you have these other orders of magnitude of, like, okay, safety has to be a concern, ease of travel have to be a concern, the culture has to be a concern, of food, you know, is it good food there? So all these are kind of like little things that you need to consider when you're looking at other places to go. So for me, this really started after I'd done about 1.5 years in Baghdad. And my whole plan, because I had gone home at some point and realized, just took that hard look at my life and what it was versus now what it could be, because I had, you know, 50, 60 grand just sitting in a savings account, quite honestly. I'd maxed out my retirement account, you know, I'd gotten a house, I'd done all the stuff that you're supposed to do. And I still had that money left over, and I decided, hey man, I'm just gonna go somewhere. So I looked all over and talked to the other contractors, and everyone was like, dude, you gotta check out Thailand, man. So that's where I went. And my whole complex, interwoven, strategically planned trip was go drink on the beach for 6 months. This guy came up with that plan. So yeah, that was the whole deal. Was like, I just went there and I went to southern Thailand, where all the beaches that you'll see in movies and all that kind of crap, that's where I went. And I just kind of hopped around. I had a home base in Phuket, and then traveled all around to all the islands and did all this stuff down there. And it was great. It was friggin' amazing. So again, does it meet the criteria? Is it good food? Well, Thai food's friggin' awesome. Is there good weather there? Because believe it or not, weather does affect your mood and your biochemistry and how you feel. If you're in this like rainy, gray, dour kind of fucking place, like, you're not gonna feel up at all. Like, it's gonna just feel like you're trudging through life. Like, how do you feel when you're kind of like trudging to the store from your car and it's like this rainy, gray, awful day? Versus when you step out and there's like bright sunshine and people are like, oh hey, how's it going, and all that. It's just a different vibe. Like, weather really will affect you. So you want to go somewhere with good weather. Obviously you want to go somewhere that's relatively safe. Now, you know, because you could go like, well, I'm going to go cheap. I'm going to go somewhere in like Africa and, like, you know, sit on a beach in Tanzania or something. Like, good luck with that. I mean, I'm not saying Tanzania is not relatively safe, but not for me, dog. But Thailand, lots of foreigners, lots of tourism. They really make sure people are safe over there, because that's their bread and butter. They're getting a lot of money off of that tourism. So they make sure tourists are relatively safe. Incidents happen, but it is what it is. You're going to be relatively safe. The food's going to be good. The weather's going to be good. Look, I'm a red-blooded American guy. You know, women are a part of the analysis, just point blank. Like being able to look and go, oh, there's attractive women as well that I can hook up with. That's a big part of it. Traveling, what's the cost to go there? Like, I don't want to go somewhere that's super expensive to go to. And usually Thailand, for being all the way around the world, is a reasonable cost on the ticket. So, you know, I did Thailand for quite a while, and it met the criteria that I was looking for, and I ended up staying there for more than a few years, actually. So after Thailand, I did a few contracts, and when I came back, because I had been in Thailand so long, I was doing visa runs in and out of Cambodia, which a visa run has nothing to do with your, you know, your charge card. Visa laws are basically the rules that govern how long you can stay in any particular country based on your nationality and your government's agreements with those countries. And obviously, if your country is friendly with that country, the longer your stay is and the easier it is to go. And vice versa, if it's a bad relationship, let's say like U.S. and Russia, or U.S. and China or whatever, then they tend to limit that stuff. So basically, when you're in Thailand, you get 90 days. Like, you get 60 days, and then you can go down to immigration and extend it for another 30 days. So every 90 days, you've got to leave the country and then come back in. Like, if you're like me and you have an apartment there. So I kept leaving and going to Cambodia, and I met a bunch of expats that had businesses like small hotels, bars, restaurants, things like that, online businesses that lived in Cambodia. And so I made this group of expat friends over there. So again, Cambodia, it's similar weather to Thailand, somewhat similar culture. So it was, by that time, it was easy to kind of recognize what's going on. Very, very different language. That was not, Khmer is so difficult, like no way. And Thai in general is very difficult, but Khmer is even worse for English speakers. So, but, I had all these friends, and there's nice restaurants, and there's like the nice little riverside area and blah, blah, blah. So I did 6 months there. And again, it met the criteria of very cheap to live, interesting place, really attractive gals, fun bit of party scene there. And so it kind of, again, it met those criteria. So after that, it was Philippines for me, and I actually did some videos from the Philippines. And the best thing about the Philippines was everyone speaks English. Like, you really got to go out in the country to find someone that speaks like no English. Whereas Thailand, Cambodia, other places, it's more going to be like that 10% does speak English and 90% doesn't. Well, Philippines, everyone could speak English, which was great. Some of the food okay, others not so great. But the weather was really terrific there, and the gyms and the lifestyle, and it was just a healthy, good feeling place. And especially because we used to have our bases there, there's a large sort of American kind of contingency feel to that place. Like, lots of Americans retired there and opened bars and restaurants and stuff like that. And then you go there, and there's all these, you can just tell by the way they look and the way they act and the way they talk. It's like old American military guys. There's even a friggin' VFW over there, I think. So it was a great place to be, and I ended up spending like a couple years over there. But now, obviously, we are in the time of COVID. And during COVID, right now, we can really only go to, as Americans, the Caribbean and Central and South America. So, bearing in mind the criteria of low cost, good weather, good food, good culture, healthy lifestyle, and safety, those kinds of things, I've done the Bahamas, and it was just pure tourist everything, and therefore costs were not low at all. And it's okay to visit, but it ain't kind of place you want to spend like 3, 5, 6, 10 months, something like that. Like, no. I've been to Dominican, and again, same weather as the Caribbean. You're gonna have nice weather, nice beaches, you know, but it just didn't fit me. Like, there was plenty of really attractive women there. Costs were not that bad for an island, but it was okay. You would get a lot of American tourists around. You had some American expats and British expats. So in some ways it was okay, but then in other ways, like, this is kind of shady in certain ways, and especially like at nighttime and stuff. So it just wasn't my cup of tea. I've done Mexico. Again, you look at Mexico, it's got the weather, it's got the, you know, somewhat lower cost. You've got really attractive women that are in a really good party scene. Like, Latinos and Latinas, man, like they really do, like, they can celebrate life like almost no one else can. Like, they really can party. So, you know, I've been to Mexico several times. It's great, but then do you want to live there? Do you want to spend, because there is a great difference between spending a week somewhere or 2 weeks somewhere versus spending 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And when I started factoring in all these things, Mexico wasn't going to be the place for me. So that kind of led me to Colombia, and the fact that, like, despite the past, this place is now really safe. You know, even there were some recent protests and you got COVID going on, it's still super safe if you stay in the good areas, of course. Like any city, like you go to like Southside Chicago, you could be in the US and you could think you're safe, but yeah, tell me how safe you are there. You know, or areas in New York or LA or whatever. You know, go down to Compton and tell me how safe it is. So Medellín, it's a beautiful, like, mountain city, so you're up higher in elevation. Because of that, the temperatures are not too hot, whereas Mexico, to me, it does get too hot. And it was a cheap flight. It's a really cheap flight from the US. And the weather is there. They've got a lot of international cuisine, so food's not a problem. The infrastructure is good. The women, geez, you know, and if you're female, so I do have females that buy the course that become overseas contractors. If you're female, obviously I can only talk from the male perspective, but believe me, there are a ton of expat females here too, that there's some good looking Colombian dudes around, man. So they're hooking up too, and they're having a ball, and they're out dancing all night, because, you know, obviously Latin men, they can dance mostly, way better than a lot of other people, because you have salsa and merengue and all these other, you know, very, very culturally important kind of, like, this is a cornerstone to them of what they do, kind of like how we have, you know, baseball, apple pie, and whatever. Like, to them, they need to be able to salsa, and so if you're a guy here, and girls are really, you know, girls like that kind of thing. So there's plenty, I see plenty, when I go out to the club here, if I'm out in bars and people are dancing a little bit around, there's plenty of female expats here, believe me, that are enjoying all the Latin men. So don't let me make it seem like one-sided, but I'm just talking from my experience. The women in Colombia are drop dead beautiful and very fun, and Colombians in general, especially in the Medellín area, they're very open and very interested to meet foreigners, because you're coming from a world that to them it's just like they're welcoming, and they're like, hey, check it out, this is Colombia, you know, tell me about your country, I'll tell you about mine. That's the way it should be when you're different from somebody. Not, oh, you're different, then I should be offended when you do something I don't disagree with. In Colombia, you don't get all that. You just get, hey, let's all get along. And one of the best things I think about Colombia is the fact that Colombians actually look different. And there's a great racial difference. And because of that, the races get along. If you go somewhere where it's like, you know, everyone's all the same ethnicity and then one person's different, that person really stands out, and they are likely to get treated a little different because of that. Here you have the whole spectrum, and because of that, Asian looking, Hispanic looking, white looking, black looking, all the Colombians get along with each other, and there isn't this, oh my God, they look different than me, they must be the enemy kind of mentality. So, and, you know, if you're in the dating pool, you like, you know, hey, whatever you like, you're going to find it here. So Colombia right now, you can get in for 90 days. It's very easy to extend another 90 days. So you get a long visa, and it just checks all the boxes, man. So when you go overseas and you've got that big chunk of money that, like, after your first contract or two, you've done all the right things, now you've got a big bunch of money, I really recommend, like, take some downtime. Look at the globe, man. Look at the whole map of the world and be like, all right, where is there good weather, good food, good opportunities to meet people that I'd be interested in dating or hanging out with, good safety, easy to travel in and out of, interesting things to see there. You don't want to go somewhere that's like tiny and boring, because like the Bahamas, honestly, you're gonna get bored there after a few weeks. It's just not big enough. So all these factors help you decide where to go in your downtime. And so that's kind of the message today, is this is the contractor lifestyle. You know, that's why I call it that, is you're gonna go work, you're gonna do what you gotta do to earn and put yourself in that completely different financial place than 90% of Americans probably. Once you're there and you've worked and you've piled up that cash, where do you go and what do you do? And that's really the question, a central question you got to start answering when that starts to become your reality. And so hopefully this video will help you when you get to that place, or at least help you envision what your life is probably going to be like if you do get overseas and you're doing that contractor thing. Because I'll be honest, it's not super easy to become a contractor, and if it were as easy as just applying, everyone would do it. All right, you've got to know the right strategies, you've got to know the right lingo, you've got to know what you're getting into, so that when you talk to people, you can convince them that you're the right pick for the job. And I get a lot of messages and a lot of emails like, hey, I've been applying to be an overseas contractor, you know, I've got 50 applications in and I'm not hearing back. And then I scroll down the list of people who've taken the course, and of course they're not in it. And so, like, I have no idea what you're doing wrong, but if you're putting in all these applications and months of effort and you're getting 0 results, you might be doing something wrong, man. So go get the course, go get the knowledge, go get the tools, and that way you've got, it's like trying to change a tire barehanded or something on your car. You don't have the right tools. Like, do the right thing, get overseas, put your life in that position where you're like, oh wow, now I've got my debts taken care of, I got my bills taken care of, I got this big chunk of money here. Maybe I'll take some time off and just go travel the world, man. Maybe I'll go see Colombia. Maybe I'll go to Mexico for 4 months, 5 months. Maybe I'll go hang out in Dominican. Maybe I'll go to Puerto Rico. There's a lot of good options out there, but it's just taking that time off and just sort of like really enjoying yourself for an extended period. Like, that's one of the biggest rewards of the contractor lifestyle, because most people live and die at that 9 to 5, and that just sucks. Why not choose a better way? All right, so that's gonna be it for this week, wrapping it up. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do it next week. I might try to spin the camera around, try something new. We'll see, maybe go to the bedroom where it's a little more quiet, but there really is just nowhere to set up in there. So we'll see how it goes, but for now, I did wanna get a new video out there and let you guys know I am in Colombia. I'm doing my thing here, and we'll see you next week.